I'm here at the Tour de France and I just managed to grab the bike of Tomasz Marczyński of Team Lotto Soudal when he returned from a training ride just prior to the actual start of the main event. As you can see, it still does have his water bottle on there as well as a cut-off bidon. More on that later on though. So, Marczyński himself, a Polish racing cyclist, former Polish national champion too. Let's go and check out his Ridley Helium SLX. So Tomasz Marczyński, he measures in at 5'11", so that's 1.80 m if you want to talk metric. Now, frame size, he actually opts for a size small, which is kind of on the surprising side really, but I imagine you can get into a nice aggressive racing position using a small frame. Now, onto the actual frame then. Well, the Helium SLX is Ridley's standard road offering model for Lotto Soudal, so as opposed to the Noah, which is the aerodynamic road race frame. So the actual paintwork on this bike, the red, it really does glitter, especially in this sunshine. I'm going to get a little bit burnt, I fear, today. Hashtag up here near the actual head tube, hashtag be tough. So if ever you're feeling a little bit, well, down on luck maybe, look down at that, just be tough. So as you can see though, it is fully deckled up as well with team sponsors. So we've got Campagnolo logo as well as Sea Bear down there on the chainstay. Of course, they provide ceramic bearing, bottom brackets, jockey wheels, bearings for the wheels, that kind of thing. Then fitted into the frame is a Deda Superlight seat post made out of carbon fibre. It's pretty much in line, there's just a little bit of setback on it. And then mounted on top of that is a Selle Italia Team Edition saddle. And of course that comes with carbon rails just to try and get the weight down a little bit. Now, interestingly, on this seat post, there's a secondary clamp. Now, it doesn't actually clamp onto the frame as such. Instead, this could be either a safeguard, so if the original clamp was to fail, maybe, just maybe, it will stop the actual saddle from going down further. But another great use for this is during travel and transportation. Obviously, these bikes go in and out of bike bags dozens and dozens of times per year. So with that secondary ring there on the seat post, it's easy to know the exact position. It's not like a little bit of tape which could come out of place or become unstuck. Instead, it's on there for good. Now, moving forward to the other end of the bike, we've got ourselves a Deda Super Zero stem. Coming in at 130 mm in length, then fitted to that is a pair of Deda 0100 handlebars in alloy. Handlebar width 40 centimetre, and then the shifters that are fitted onto the handlebars, well, they're a Campagnolo Super Record EPS, which of course is Campagnolo's electronic group set that they provide. And then you can actually see as well the SRM head unit for the power meter too, mounted onto the handlebars. Final little touch though is the Lizard Skins handlebar tape in a kind of urban camouflage edition, and that is nice and sticky, and a little bit of cushioning in there too, just to give you a little bit of respite over any rough roads that he's going to encounter during the Tour de France. Braking, well, the brake calipers, they're provided by Campagnolo again, and they're the Super Record model, and they attach via a single bolt, both front and rear, as opposed to some brakes which can attach direct mount using 2 bolts attachment. And they're stopping a pair of Campagnolo Bora Ultra 50 wheels. 50, that denotes the rim depth, 5 centimetres or 50 millimetres, and these wheels themselves are actually shod in a pair of Vittoria Corsa tubular tyres in 25 millimetre width. Derailleurs, well, they are Campagnolo Super Record EPS to match those shifting levers, and those Mechs, I do like them because they are covered in carbon fibre, and I do like a bit of carbon fibre. The rear cassette is 1128, again Campagnolo Super Record. Chain rings, 5339, the professional's choice, in most cases anyway. And they're fitted to a Campagnolo Super Record chain set in 172.5mm crank length. Fitted onto that chain set too is the SRM power meter too, as you can see here on the Spider. Pedals, they come from Look, and they're the Keo Blade carbon model. Now Marczyński, he's opted for the 20 Newton meter blade, so that's the amount of release tension it's going to take his ankle to actually release from the clipless pedal. Now, the eagle-eyed of you may well have already spotted the Lizard Skins bit of handlebar tape here, which has been placed just across the central platform of the pedal. Now, we do see a few riders do that, because once those plastic Look cleats start to wear, and also some riders, they do tend to have a little bit of a rocking swing motion in their actual pedal stroke, sometimes they can feel that slight bit of movement there, and it can irritate them, to be perfectly honest. And also it does give a slightly more fixed in approach to your foot in the pedal. What about the finishing touches then? Well, it does help he's just come back from a training ride, because there's a couple of cheeky extras in there. Anyway, let's start at the handlebars. Well, we've got the SRM PC8 head unit there, so that allows him to monitor his power, speed, all the details of his riding data basically. And that's fitted obviously onto the bars via that specific mount for it. And then the Campagnolo DTI, so that's Digital Tech Intelligence Unit, that's here underneath the stem too, just zip tied on. Now, onto the bottle cages, a pair of Tacx carbon fibre, and then inside of this cut-off water bottle, you can see there's a folded up tubular tyre, should Tomasz Marczyński have punctured, of course, whilst out riding. And then, check out that, a Lezyne Road Drive little mini pump inside of there, and it's even customised with Lotto Sedal. Pretty jealous of that. If we look at the seat post, I've already mentioned that secondary seat clamp. On the rear here, just fitted in between the brake and the stay, we've got a K-Edge number holder. Of course, that means that the rider's race number can easily go on there and basically not have to be held on with a zip tie or a bit of tape, anything like that. We've also got the SRM speed monitor here, so obviously that can give another reading as well as the GPS from the head unit. We've also got fitted there, just in line with the front derailleur, a K-Edge SRM branded chain catcher, but also combined with a cadence magnet on there too. So you can then get the cadence measurement from the SRM power meter. Measurements wise, well, from the tip of the saddle to the centre of the bottom bracket is 76 centimetres, and then the tip of the saddle to the centre of the bars, 57 centimetres, and we've got a drop from the saddle to the handlebars of 12 centimetres. Now, it would be unfair to weigh this bike with a bottle full of ice cold water and also the spare tyre pump and also that empty bottle. So I've taken them off and it weighs in at 6.89 kilograms. What about that free hub sound then? Let's have a listen. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Tomasz Marczyński's bike, and also a big shout out to him for allowing me to basically grab it from him when he got back from a hot and sweaty ride. Now let me know what you think of this bike down there in the comment section below. I want to know what you think. Now remember as well to like and share this video with your friends, and also why not check out the GCN shop at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com. We have a whole heap of clothing for both on the bike and off the bike, as well as accessories and gifts for a loved one perhaps. And now for another great video, how about clicking down here for another pro bike?